Hello, my name is Martha Stewart, and welcome to Better Oncology Living. Actually, seriously, this is Ken Kinter, and this is day, I believe, 117 of my journey through leukemia. I am currently, you probably figured this one out, I'm back in the hospital. This is visit 3A out of 4B, so that's 5 out of 8. So I'm past the halfway point. Hopefully on my way to monthly outpatient maintenance. And so far, this stay has probably gone easier than the previous ones. And if there was any real wood anywhere around here, oh, actually, there is. Uh, that hopefully that luck holds out. Um, so things are going well. Hopefully, if everything goes according to schedule, I'm back out and back home tomorrow. But I wanted to check in because I've been really terrible about these. These have become weekly, which is probably merciful for you guys. Um, and maybe it means I don't need it so badly either. It's hard to say. There's multiple purposes here. Um, so this day is hilarious for a couple of reasons because my wife decided to really step up and go all in. So the new Strat is here. Yes, I brought an electric guitar into an oncology unit. Let's make it worse. So there's the little head that she bought and brought here yesterday. And here's a selection of cards, not even nearly all of them. And those clips light up. There's a little plug, so at night I can plug it in. Maybe I'll send a picture along of that. Um, and of course, I got my Raider hat because we're playing today. So, so yeah, I brought a little bit of more than just a little bit of home along with me, which I think is helpful. And yes, I'm being quiet. I'm not annoying the neighbors. Um, I've checked in very carefully with the nurses about that. The nurses who are very busy making requests, by the way. So I have like 3 or 4 songs to learn, including a couple Slayer tunes. So this is going to be rough. It's going to be a busy day today. But it's fun. I basically played the guitar the whole day yesterday, and that made the day go by very easily. And that's kind of actually the topic that I wanted to talk about. Um, Last week was an exciting week for me because my health did some up and down stuff. My blood work, I should say, I felt okay. But I still got to hit one of my major goals, which was going to see the King's X show on Friday with some very good friends and, of course, my wife. And it kind of prompted me to this decision about adhering to the rules and recommendations about staying well versus doing the things that you do that actually kind of feed your soul and keep you well in a different direction. So I've got 4 scenarios for you, and I don't have a definitive answer, but it's something I want you to think about. And I'm thinking about it very hard. Maybe if you're in this situation, or if you've been in this situation before, you've been this path well as well. So the first scenario is you do everything, single thing you're told to do by the medical professionals and the people that care about you, and you follow the letter of the law and you don't step out. And I do a pretty good job with that. So I do everything I'm told. I take all the meds, do all the treatment, and I'm like a soldier. All I need to know is what's the next hill I need to take, what's the next objective. And that's how I do it. Um, Scenario B is when people say, the heck with it. We had somebody sign out from here, AMA, a young man, and he's done. And I don't know if he just started, if he's been in it for years, but whatever it is, it was all over his face when he came up here and he AMA'd and he was gone by the end of the evening. And yeah, my heart and my prayers go out to him. I don't know his situation, um, but whatever it was, he'd had enough. Scenario C is it's like scenario A, you do everything you're told, but what are those things that keep your fire lit, that keep you going? Now you can probably guess one of mine or 2 of mine just from looking in shop now. Um, music keeps me alive. Travel, what are those things that are worth living for, even if it may cost you a little time or it may endanger you a little bit? And this is where you have to kind of weigh that. Are there things that you're willing to not do the rest of your life because you're trying to live every last day? Or do you do some of these things and maybe it costs you a little time, but you got that trip in, you got that concert in, you got that thing in. He's a very good friend of mine. He's very into motorcycles, and he had a major heart attack. And so those two things don't sit that easy together. But do you say no to the motorcycle the rest of your life and maybe make your life a little less pleasurable? And maybe that's one of those things that you get out of bed for, to do, and then you don't have it anymore. What happens if I can't go to concerts anymore, or baseball or football games, things like that, mainly concerts? Or if I couldn't play anymore, if something happened where I just couldn't play. Not that I'm a master in any way, but it's just, it's one of the things that keeps me going. So how do you resolve that? So you follow the letter of the law 90% of the time, but you step out, and maybe it could be food or it could be something, but I guess a relapse day on a diet, right? You just take that one day, and then after that, you're good again. And maybe you have a little cackle to yourself that you did that fun thing, even if it may have set you back a little bit. So that's scenario C. Scenario D complicates scenario C a little bit. Again, I was speaking to my friend about his love of motorcycles and how that's questionable. And of course, when you're the sick person, everybody around you who loves you and cares about you tries to talk you out of doing these things because they don't want you to see you do anything that might even do a little harm to yourself. But the part that he mentioned, so I had this talk with my friend, and then I also had a talk with someone else, actually my dad, who has my old motorcycle, and he's ridden around on it. And sometimes what he found was that when sometimes the pleasure of those things, it either drains out of those things, or your fear about what could happen to you because of those things outweighs the pleasure that you got from it, or it just becomes too much hassle or too much work. So D kind of changes C. So C, you want to do those things. Like, it was really hard for me to go to the concert. I had to sit for a while. I had to recover. I don't go to concerts like I usually do, where I have a couple of drinks and I'm hooting and hollering. I mean, I sang and I danced, but everything was very muted and very careful. Now, that just might be a temporary thing, but what happens if it isn't? What happens if it's permanent, or it becomes progressive, where I'm less and less able? Would I go to the show in a wheelchair? Would I only go to a show where I could sit? Would I only go to a show where I could be in like an isolated place, so I'm not around a lot of people? And then at a certain point, is there a point of diminishing returns where you don't want to do that stuff anymore because of all of these complications? Or you just don't want to ride a motorcycle because you're spending all your time worried about what could happen to you, and you lose the pleasure. You lose the point. You lose the point of doing the whole thing in the first place. So I don't want this interpreted. My fight is strong. I'm going through this. I'm actually doing better than I expected. All my test results are positive and everything's going well. And I'm full speed ahead toward this monthly outpatient maintenance thing. But these are the things that I think about. And these are also the things that I think people in my position sometimes get in a little conflict about with their caregivers. My wife was very concerned about me going to the King's X show, and we did not curiously tell my nurse practitioner about it, but we did tell the nurse about it. And the nurse said, you know what, you got to live. You got to live. What I'm dealing with and what a lot of other people are dealing with, it brings your horizon right to your nose. You start asking the question, am I never going to ride a motorcycle again? Am I never going to go to a concert again? Am I never going to ... again? And then there's a part of you that when you can't do something, you really, 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 really need to do something. That thing becomes even more important because of it, because it's been threatened. And it's that, you realize how important something is only at the moment of its either loss or potential loss. Then you realize how precious it is to you. So that's kind of the stuff I've been thinking about and kicking around. And that's when things are good. I'm looking forward to getting out tomorrow and going back to living life. And actually, PG and I just sent out to get our passports renewed. So we're looking at travel as a big thing for us. So I think that's going to be one of the big things. When I get done this, looking forward to getting through 4B. And then the next step is going to be, which big trip are we going to take? What bucket list item am I going to take out next? And And that's kind of where that is. And while I'm in here, the nurses have requests. I've gotten other requests, so I've got some guitar playing to do now. So I'm going to go. I hope everything is wonderful with you where you are. I hope you're happy. I hope you're healthy. I extra special shout out to my buddies Tom and Steve for coming to see me and bringing me food and listening to me jibber jabber away on my steroids again. These poor guys. I feel so sorry for them. They come in here to this depressing place and they hear me yap and yap like I'm on drugs. I am on drugs, so there's where that is. But anyway, special shout out. Glad you're listening. Glad you're watching, and hope to see you in the real world real soon. Take care. Bye bye.